Hello students, welcome to StudyIQ. First of all, let me tell you a big thank you to all of you for the warm support that I am getting for the sociology classes. Okay, so in this session we will be talking about historical materialism, Marx theory of historical materialism, a very important theory. We will do each and every concepts related to Marx. Okay, so we already started off with Marx. In the previous session, we have talked about Marx's general idea about society and individual. We have talked about forces of production, relations of production. We have talked about economic infrastructure, superstructure, being, social being, all these things we have discussed. Okay, very important, and those things are going to be applied across in the Marxian studies. Okay, in all theories, you need to use the same concept that we have discussed in the first session. So in this session we will continue with the first theory, that is historical materialism. Here also we will refer to the previous concepts that we have learned everywhere, whether it is class and class struggle or alienation or historical materialism or mode of production. Everywhere you need to use the concepts economic infrastructure, superstructure, being, social being, okay, forces of production, relations of production, etc. So I'm expecting that you have attended that session and you have a very good knowledge about what all things that we have done so far with respect to Marx. Okay, now we will move on to historical materialism, and before that we will see few of the questions which was asked before. Okay, so directly you can see the theory of historical materialism, or critically examine Marx theory of historical materialism. I've told you already how to write this particular answer, critically analyze. In case of GS also, when we have discussed economy sessions, I've talked about that, and in sociology also in the introductory sessions I've told you. So if you see critically examine, the structure I have given to you already for any such keywords, whether it is critically examine, discuss, comment, analyze, for all these there are some structures that you need to follow. The skeleton is required and you just need to fit your knowledge or the contents into that particular structure. So here, how should your answer look like? I'll tell you, those who are attending for the first time, I'll just briefly tell you how it should look like. So first you will be talking about some introduction, and I'll give you this introduction. What is this introduction? You will not face any problem. In fact, the introduction you can write common for all Marxian theories. So here, critically analyze historical materialism is asked. In case if you are getting alienation or class struggle or historical materialism, I am considering these three together. So I'll give you an introduction which is capable of using in any of these three answers. And keep in mind, these three theories together they will not ask you. From one thinker, one theory will be asked. Okay, you may get a lot of theories, but from different thinkers. Marx, there is no possibility that you get more than two or two, etc. Rarely you will get that. Okay, so one introduction will be enough. That will be fit in for all the questions which is from Marx. So I'll give you a very good, beautiful introduction, and you don't want to do anything for introduction. Then after introduction, you will talk about this theory, historical materialism, since that is asked in the question. Or if the question is about alienation, you will write alienation. If the question is about class struggle, you will write class struggle. So here this is specific. So what we will do each and every theory. So today we are going to discuss about historical materialism. Tomorrow we will talk about class and class struggle. Next day we will talk about alienation. So in that way we will complete all the theories. So you will get contents for this also. Now after writing this, actually the answer starts. Now only your actual answer is going to start. You follow this formula CCR. The first C is contribution, then criticism, then relevance. Okay, so when you write the contribution, I'll tell you Marxian contribution in general to sociology. So that is what you need to write. So that is also general in nature, and you can fit in that contribution part in any of the theory. So what my point is, for each and every theory, you don't want to separately prepare for critically analyze question. What you need, you only need to change the theory here. This part is the same and this part is the same. Introduction is same, contribution is same. Then next part, next paragraph will be the criticism. That's the main part. So when you talk about criticism, here also you need to be very careful. You have to first write the general criticisms. Okay, so you can write criticism in two parts. So first part is general criticism and then specific criticism. Now what do you mean by general criticism? Generally Marx is criticized on certain aspects. Like if you remember, I've told you Marx is accused of being a reductionist. And Marx is giving extra emphasis to economic infrastructure, ignoring superstructure. Marx is a macro sociologist, ignoring micro. Marx is giving importance to society by ignoring the individual, right? And Marx is using a conflict perspective and identifying only dysfunctions of any social institution. Rather, the social institutions have a lot of functions to offer also in the society. And you can use Durkheim's concept or generally functionalist concept. Functionalists try to understand religion as integrating the masses, whereas Marx trying to understand religion by using a conflict perspective and highlighting the dysfunctions and by saying that it is just opiating the masses. Family is an exploitative mechanism for Marx. Because of family only you are going to the capitalist society as a workforce and you are exploited over there because of family. If family is not there, you won't go. But when it comes to functionalists, they are highlighting all the functions of family. So here Marx is using, these are general criticism which you can write in all the theories. Whether it is alienation or class struggle or historical materialism, these criticisms are common and it should be printed in your mind after this lecture. First of all, he is accused of being a reductionist. Okay, then he is a macro sociologist. He is giving importance to society. So he's ignoring micro or individual. Then he is giving extra importance to economic infrastructure than superstructure. But nowadays superstructural element can also play a big role in social changes. And apart from that, finally, he is only trying to identify the dysfunctions and he's highlighting only the dysfunctions of any social phenomena or institution. But a lot of functions have been identified by the functionalist. So if you are only trying to identify dysfunctions, it's a partial understanding of reality. So I'm expecting that these general criticisms are already printed in your heart. There is no need to read anything for this, and you don't want to read any textbooks for thinkers, the Ritzer, etc. All these are very difficult. So I will explain everything, whatever is required for exam point of view. If you see my notes, if you see the sessions, what you need to do is the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes where I'm explaining the concepts, that you give me the attention, you concentrate for that 20-30 minutes, take the synopsis, and with that you will be in a position to write all the theories beautifully. You will not face any problem in any concepts related to any of the thinkers. Okay, so I am going to deal with historical materialism here, so you will understand that, and in the same way only we will do all the theories, all the thinkers. Okay, so introduction I have given you common, then theories we will discuss, then contribution I have told you it will be common, then criticism, general, I have told you this will also be common to all the theories. So what all things we have discussed, introduction is common irrespective of the question, whether it is alienation or class struggle or historical materialism. I want this to be there in your mind so that you can understand sociology is easy, it's not a big deal. Okay, and then contribution will also be common. Criticism, general criticism is common. Now when it comes to specific, now the question is historical materialism, so you write the specific criticism of historical materialism, and for that you don't want to study 10, 15, 20 specific criticisms. Hardly to the maximum you need to know 2 or 3, and that will be very easy for you to remember. For example, when we talk about historical materialism, we're talking about different modes of production. You can say communism will never come into existence. That's a simple criticism and that you can use there. Okay, and similarly you will see some logical criticisms from your own side. You don't even want to quote the thinkers, and it is not necessary to quote the thinkers to criticize. If you can criticize with a valid argument, with proper reason and evidence, then that is the best that you can offer. That is the best that you can write. It is not necessary that each and every line you need to write thinkers. You need to write only to substantiate a point. Okay, so specific, again I'm telling you, you don't want to read different textbooks and collect all the guides and collect 15-20 criticisms and you study everything. That is just ruining your mind. That is not actually required for this exam. Hardly you need 2 or 3 criticism from each theory, because in general you are writing around 4 or 5 criticism. Even if you don't know specific criticism, those general criticism will do here, because those general criticism are applicable in this theory also. Historical materialism is also, it is applicable. Class struggle also it is applicable. Alienation also it is applicable. So that general criticism alone will do, and already you understood what are that general criticism, and I'm expecting that you'll never forget it, and you should not forget it. If you attend the session and if you forget that, then that's then nobody can help you, even God can't help you. Okay, so criticism, and finally you will write this R, that is relevance, and this will also be common. So what is the only changing part here? the theory and the specific criticism. Introduction is common irrespective of the theory, contribution is common irrespective of the theory, general criticism is common, and relevance is also common. Relevance, Marx is relevant. Why? Till the time poverty, exploitation is there, exploitation of man by man is there in society, Marx is always relevant. Till the time poverty and unemployment is there, Marx is relevant. You may love Marx, you may hate Marx, but you cannot ignore Marx. The welfare state have to consider the concerns raised by Marx. There is no other option. All these concerns like poverty, unemployment, exploitation, all these concerns raised by Marx, without addressing that, a welfare state cannot function. And all the welfare policies of the welfare states are echoing, or it actually echoes the importance or significance of Marx. Okay, so I hope you understood. So now itself you got some idea about Marx. Now we will see the theories. Okay, so this is how we are going to proceed. So if you see in Marx, now itself you can understand how many sessions I am going to take. I have already done one session on thinkers, that is introduction to sociological thinkers. Then I have talked about Marx idea about society and change. So 2 are over. Okay, now how many sessions you can actually predict here? So this introductory part is over. That is what Marx idea about society and change. That from that only, yesterday one complete session I've taken from that, you will get very good introduction. I've given you around 400-500 words, but 40-50 word maximum you need to write in your answer. Okay, so introduction is done. Then this theory we will do. So today I'm going to do the first theory, historical materialism. So second day, third day we will do class struggle, okay, and then fourth day we will do alienation. So we have completed the theories. Then we will talk about contribution, criticism and relevance together. So 5 days I will complete Marx. Okay, and you will understand each and everything related to Marx which is required for exam. We are only studying Marx for exam. Okay, nothing else is required, and you will not miss anything, and I am not leaving anything for chances. You can take it for granted. Okay, so and if you missed any of my previous videos, you will get all my videos over here. You can just see, this is my Telegram ID, Telegram channel, Zia Safir. This one, you can join the Telegram channel. You will get all my previous video, not only sociology. I have taken economy. Economy again is complete in itself. History is there. You can get the history videos. Quantitative aptitude is there, and you will get the ethics classes also over there. And still, if you need any personal help, personal mentorship program is there, guidance, personal guidance, or test series if you need to write with me, or if you want your papers to be evaluated by me, I'll get it evaluated and we'll have a one-to-one discussion also. You can call me. This is my number, 9790-892-697 or 9895577775. Okay, so in WhatsApp or Telegram, you can contact me in any way. This is my Instagram ID, that's my Telegram channel, that's my Facebook ID also. So all these options are there for you to get in touch with me. Wherever you are, you can call me. If your option is sociology, I can definitely help you. Okay, whether it is in writing or conceptual clarity or anything. Okay, not only sociology, anything related to civil services. Okay, so other theories are, again, other questions are very simple, like that only. Discuss Marx's views about society and what, according to Marx, is the cause of change in society. Okay, discuss Marx's theory of mode of production and highlight the significant features of the forces and relation of production. So here Marx views about society and what is the change. Basically Marx's theory of historical materialism dealing with his idea about society and change. So 2 parts are there for this theory. His idea about society, 1 part, and in fact that we have done yesterday. And the idea about change, that's what we are going to do today. Okay, so with this part and this part, here they have asked separately. Then discuss Marx's theory of mode of production. Highlight the significant features of forces and relations of production. Mode of production means society. I have told you yesterday, mode of production or society or social formation, these are the different words used by Marx to explain society. Marx's theory of society, again the same. So let's get started with this. Now what I'll do is, first I'll do, as always I do, that the general discussion, and this is the most important part of the session. So understand everything and try to understand everything here itself, okay? And then there is no point in reading again and again. If it is printed in your mind, the theory is over. So I'm again telling you, try to understand it here itself, okay? So Okay, so historical materialism, first try to understand that there are two parts for this theory. One is his general idea about society and individual. So idea about society and individual. Okay, so idea about society and individual, and then his idea about change. So his theory of historical materialism comprise of two parts: his idea about society and individual, and his idea about change. Or his theory of historical materialism refers to his concept of change and his concept of society. So here, this first part we have already done in the previous session. So those who missed that video, please go and watch that video before you attend this video. If you are watching me for the first time, please do that, otherwise you will not get any connection here. So because I am not going to discuss that things here, it will be time waste. Okay, I have very limited time only to discuss the theory, so I am just confining to what is required for today. Okay, so here, idea of society and individual, what you need to say, I'll tell you what you need to write here. You need to talk about the production, idea about production, the concept of production. You know that, right? You know about the concept of production. So here we will talk about forces of production, you will talk about relations of production, and you will talk about economic infrastructure. You will also talk about the social superstructure, and then you will talk about the being, okay, and you will talk about social being. Okay, so these are the things that you need to mention in the first part. Then when it comes to the second part, there he is talking about the idea of social change. So further, this will be divided into two parts. The first part here is he is trying to understand the changes in the existing societies. So changes in existing societies and changes in the futuristic society. He is not only understanding the changes in existing society, he is also conceptualize the futuristic society also. So futuristic society, and this is what controversial or criticism is coming, like socialism and communism. Okay, so when he is talking about existing societies, he understood that existing societies in four stages. I'll tell you that and I'll explain it further. First stage is actually primitive communism. Primitive communism. Second stage, ancient mode of production. Third stage, feudal mode of production. Feudal mode of production. Fourth stage, capitalist mode of production. Okay, so these are the four stages in which he understood history. That means the existing societies. The futuristic society, the two stages are, first one, socialism, socialist mode of production, and then communism. So history is understood in terms of four stages, and future is conceptualized in terms of two stages. What are they? Socialism and communism. Now let's try to understand what all are these stages and how these stages are changing, etc. Okay, so let's start with the primitive society or primitive communism. Why it is called as primitive communism? That word itself will tell you everybody was equal, population was very less, no private property concept, nobody is owner of anyone or nobody is property of anyone. There is no private property, population is very less, food is abundant in nature, everybody can get food just like that, you can go get the food. Okay, there is no concept of private property. The tools required to get the foods are also not that tough, it is very easy to get the food. So this society is based on purely egalitarian concept, so everybody is equal. So Marx termed this society as primitive communism. That's the first stage. Now with time, what will happen? With time, population will increase. So when the population increased, there is a scarcity for food now. Okay, so some people started developing some tools and techniques to harness the food. So those who own those tools and techniques now will control the surplus food. Now when there is a surplus food coming, some people are holding it and population is more, food is not abundant as we have seen. So some people will be now depending on those people who hold the surplus. So the concept of surpluses came. Okay, so now those people who are dependent on these owners of the tools techniques are becoming the slaves, and these owners of the tools, techniques, etc. are the masters. So this mode of production Marx terms as ancient mode of production, which is based on master-slave relationship. Private property concept came, two class came. Primitive communism, there is no class, there is no private property. Okay, so ancient mode of production based on masters and slaves. Ancient mode of production based on masters and slaves emerged. Okay, now with time slaves are pressurized to get more and more food. Okay, they are pressurized to produce more food, and by this time settled agriculture also emerged. So on one side settled agriculture is emerging. So when the exploitation of slaves reaches at its peak, okay, this word you need to write in all the stages, when the mature condition exists. What is that mature condition? The exploitation reaches at its peak, and there is an alternative also. So the slaves revolt, and slaves revolt and will capture everything because they have the knowledge about production and they can produce. Settled agriculture, they know everything, how to do the production and everything, so they start producing now. But what will happen is the land does not belongs to him, and they need some protection also. Whatever they produce, they need protection. So even though they started producing themselves, but still they are dependent on the other section in terms of land and protection. So this stage is actually known as feudal mode of production, which is based on feudal lords and serf relation. So here also you can see the two classes, actually erstwhile masters becoming the lords, erstwhile slaves becoming the serf. Why this is happening, I'll explain you with the theory of class struggle in the next session. Okay, so here masters becoming the lords and the slaves becoming the serfs, and the serfs are still dependent on the masters in terms of land and protection. Understand? Okay, so slowly, for this land and protection, the lords will charge some taxes, and slowly this taxes will keep on increasing, and when the exploitation here reaches at its peak in terms of tax, the serfs revolt. When the mature condition exists, serfs revolt. By this time, factory system would have been emerged. Some lords of this category are the supporters of this industries and factory system. So by this time, factory system emerged. So the serfs think that if we go to the factory system, you can work anytime. When you work, you will get the wages. If you don't want to go for work, you don't want to go for work. So all these are good things. So they revolt. That is what mature condition exists. The serfs revolt and move towards factories for work. But work is not a choice for you. If you need to survive, you need to buy everything from the market by paying money, and for that you need to work. So you will get exploited in the capitalist system if you go for work, in terms of less wages, in terms of more working hours, in terms of inhuman working conditions, etc. So this was the problem the workers faced in capitalism, and the exploitation of this logic, when it reached at its peak, that means when the mature condition exists, the workers will revolt and workers will capture everything, and then there will be a rule of workers. This stage is what Marx terms as socialist mode of production, and here this is a transitional phase. Eventually this will culminate into communism, where the workers will also renounce their power and everybody will be equal. It's a classless society, it's a stateless society, and everybody will contribute as per their ability, and everybody will be redistributed to as per their needs. Okay, so that's about communist society. And there is a very famous statement by Marx: communism deprives no man of the power to appropriate the property or the products of society or nature. Communism deprives no man of the power to appropriate the product of nature. You can use anything from nature. Communism is not stopping you from that. But all what it does is, it deprives you from the power to subjugate the labor of others, okay, in terms of such appropriation. That means you cannot use the labor or the effort of some other person to get that property. Okay, so if I need something from the something from outside, if I need fish, I can go and get fish, even from the river or anywhere. I cannot use the labor of some others. That's what actually happening in communism. Nobody can be bought or sold. Nobody's effort or work can be bought and sold. Everybody is treated as individual. Everybody can contribute as per their ability, talent, etc. So everybody will be equal. Nobody is superior, nobody is inferior. Okay, you cannot buy the labor of anyone. So that's about the concept of communism, and that's about historical materialism. It's a very simple theory. Don't make it complex. Don't want to read anything if you understood what I've discussed. Two parts are there: idea about society and individual, that we have discussed in the previous session; idea about change, in that history understood in terms of 4 stages, future is conceptualized in terms of 2 stages. No need to have any confusion. A primitive communism where everybody is equal, ancient mode of production, masters and slaves; feudal mode of production, the serfs and lords; capitalist mode of production, workers and the capitalist. The future is understood in terms of socialism, which is a transitional stage, and communism, which is a society which is Marxian dream. It is an egalitarian society, it's a classless society, it is a stateless society, and we know this will never come into existence. In the theory of stratification, we talked about Davis and Moore theory. So you know it will never come into existence. I hope it is clear. So we have done with the first theory, and it is easy. Try to understand. If you didn't understood, watch the video again. Just the last 10 minutes is enough. And I'm promising you, I'm telling you, if you're not able to understand it here, you will not understand it anywhere. For sure. You read the textbook. If you're not able to understand it here, it will be very difficult for you to understand from any other teacher and from any other textbook that I know. Don't take it as arrogance. It's my confidence, and exactly the same confidence is what I'm trying to pass on to you. So if you get that confidence, then you will be writing very good answers for sure. Okay. So now what I'll do, I'll go to the PDF and I'll explain line by line, sentence by sentence, and word to word, so that you will get more clarity. And that's what exactly I do in my regular classes also. I'll explain and then I'll dictate. At that time I can explain it further. So that is basically 2.5 hour class, but here we are saving the time in this way. So I'm reading out and I'll explain it. Okay. So if you have any doubt, you can call me, you can get in touch with me. Okay. Marx's theory of historical materialism deals with his general idea about society and change. Marx never used the term historical materialism. Instead, he frequently used materialistic conception of history for explaining his views. His idea about society are contained in all his textbooks. The purest exposition of his theory is found in the Contribution to the Critique of Political Economy, 1859. You should be writing the name of the book, okay? His theory is called historical because society is understood in terms of a process of evolution from one stage to other. We have seen that, right? Ancient to feudal to capitalism to socialism to communism. It is called materialistic because Marx understood society as well as the changes in terms of change in material condition. So for Marx, everything is because of change in material condition. For example, see, Marx is talking about let's suppose this is a current society. So there will be contradiction in this society. So there will be change in material conditions. The forces of production will change, and that result into change in the society. Okay, similarly here also contradiction, so the forces of production, the tools, etc. will change. For example, if you take the current society, when I am recording this video, it is in April I am recording this video. So what is the problem now? The current problem that we are facing is corona, right? So we cannot go out, right? So otherwise you would have gone to some coaching institute and you could have attended the sociology lectures. But now what have you done? You are attending this lecture. Why is actually it's happening? Because there is a new forces of production, tools, techniques, ideas, etc. which are developed. So that is what Marx says. And it is because of this capitalist system, it is because of this material condition, this is actually happening. Otherwise nobody will be ready to develop these ideas, because if you cannot materialize it, nobody will do it, right? So because of change in material conditions, okay, so society will change. Now you have also changed, right? Now the society is changed. Now earlier the people are not ready to attend the online classes. Now people are more into online classes because that is more safe and more better and time consuming. A lot of advantages there. If you otherwise you need to attend, you need to go to Delhi. Okay, you need to stay over there. Hostel expenses, travel expenses, fees like 45,000 for optional sociology if you see. So all these are now easy for you. For everybody it is easy. So it is more convenient. Okay, so there is a change you can see. What is that change? The change is because of material condition. But there is another concept, dialectical idealism, that is given by Hegel. Hegel also accepts that there is a contradiction. Contradictions is what we understood in terms of dialectics. Marx also accepts that contradiction, that is dialectics. Marxian concept is dialectical materialism. Hegel, dialectical idealism. What Hegel says is, when the contradictions are there, ideas will develop, and ideas will be changing the society. Like this is an idea, or the iPad, or the camera, all these are ideas. But what Marx says is, idea is part of superstructure, which is shaped by economic infrastructure. So it is a change in material condition which even shape your idea. Why this idea came to you? It is because of the capitalist system. Otherwise, why should I sit here and deliver the lecture? Right? In feudal system or any other system, I should not do that. I should not be interested in producing this thing, or this camera, or this iPad, or anything. It is because of the material conditions. Even the ideas are also coming. So what Marx says is, It is because of material condition. The material condition, because of that only even ideas are coming, because ideas are part of superstructure. Okay, Hegel says ideas are the reason, but Marx says ideas are shaped by the economic infrastructure. That's how Marxian concept is dialectical materialism, Hegel's concept is dialectical idealism. Now we can't say which one is superior, obviously. Okay, we don't want to say that also. It is called materialistic because Marx understood society as well as its change in terms of changing material conditions. The material condition relate to the production process, FOP, ROP, etc. Okay, that's all about economic infrastructure. Thus, Marx's theory of historical materialism aims at understanding society as well as evolutionary process of change in terms of material conditions or the production process. Marx has drawn considerably from Hegel's dialectical logic for explaining the process of change. Dialectics means the contradictions present in society. Similarly, Marx's emphasis on materialism is a modified version of Feuerbach's concept of anthropological naturalism. According to Marx, the material forces only constrain the choices available to individual, and individual can only decide within the constraints. Similarly, Marx overturns Hegel's concept of dialectical idealism to propose his own dialectical materialism. Marx's theory of historical materialism contains two parts, as we have discussed already: his conception about society and evolutionary model. So you can see here historical materialism, conception of society and evolutionary model, right? So conception of society, what all things you need to write? You need to write in paragraph all these things. You know all these things. If you attended my lecture, there is no point in forgetting all those things. Okay, even if you want to, you cannot forget Marx. All the thinkers, especially Marx, you will never forget Marx. Concept of production or idea of production, forces of production, relations of production, economic infrastructure, superstructure, systemic view. Okay, so this is what you need to write in the idea of society. Evolutionary model, you will talk about primitive communism, ancient mode of production, feudal mode of production, capitalist mode of production as the existing societies, and futuristic societies conceptualized in terms of socialist mode of production and communist mode of production. So Marx's historical conception of society is not only based on explaining the changes in the existing society, but also aims at developing futuristic mode of change. Because history is understood by Marx in terms of 4 stages and future is conceptualized in terms of 2 stages. Evolutionary model. Marx's evolutionary concept starts from a very primitive society where the needs are confined to basic needs of survival. Food is abundant in nature and the tools required to harness the food are very simple. There is no concept of ownership in the production, and thus Marx terms this stage as primitive communism. With time, population increases. The demand for more food results in its scarcity. To meet this demand, new tools are devised which are owned by few. The owner of these tools also control the surplus food and others are dependent upon them. With this, a new mode of production, ancient mode of production based on master-slave relationship comes into existence. I don't think that you will face any problem here. Further, when the population increases, slaves are pressurized to produce more and more food. This results in ever-increasing exploitation of slaves. Masters become more powerful and slaves become more powerless. Now, within the ancient society, a new forces of production relating to settled agriculture emerged, and slaves are compelled to work on land without any incentives. When the mature condition exists, the slaves revolt and take control of these new forces of production. Thus, the struggle between masters and slaves culminate into a revolt, leading to initiation of new mode of production, which Marx terms as feudal mode of production. Okay, the erstwhile slaves become serfs who undertake cultivation. The former masters continue to dominate and they become feudal lords. Serfs exist as independent section of population within the society but are still dependent upon the feudal lords for land and protection. Serfs pay a part of their produce to the lords in the form of taxes. With time, the demand for increase in taxes result in exploitation of the serfs and the consequent struggle between the two. Within the society, new forces of production relating to factory system emerged which are based on wage system. When the mature conditions exist, serve, revolt, and move towards factories for work. With this, a new mode of production termed by Marx as capitalist mode of production based on capitalist worker relationship emerged. The capitalists were the erstwhile feudal lords and the workers are the erstwhile serfs. Okay, now the workers work in factories for wages. They are free to work. The workers in this system are exploited in terms of low salaries, poor and inhuman working condition. This initiates a struggle between the capitalist and the workers as their interests are contradictory. Why the interests are contradictory? Because the capitalist interest is to make the workers to work more with less wages and normal working condition. But the workers need more wages and less time to work and better working condition, right? Although workers are free to sell their labor, but they are still dependent upon the capitalists for their survival. Why? Because the things that they need to survive must be purchased from the market by paying money. And if you need to get money, you need to work. So work is not a choice. You have to go and work. When the exploitation of this logic reaches at its peak, that is when the mature condition exists. Everywhere you will write that. The workers revolt. Workers now control all resources with abolition of private property. There will be a rule of workers and resources will be distributed as per one's own needs. This new society Marx termed as socialist mode of production. This society is transitional and eventually result into communism, when the workers will renounce their powers and people will be free in the real sense. There will be no state and no distribution of power. Marx states, communism deprives no man of the power to appropriate the product of society. All what it does is deprive him of the power to subjugate the labor of others by means of such appropriation. Now what you can do is you get this can be asked as a question. They just give you the statement and they will ask you to discuss. Now if you want, you can attempt this question and you can send it to me. When I get time, I'll evaluate and we'll have a discussion also. Okay, so you can simply write this question, discuss, or you can write any of the question which I have given to you in the beginning and you can send it to me through Telegram or WhatsApp, any means. Thus, for Marx, the dynamic model of society is based on the following proposition. This is our interpretation. Around 5 propositions are there. If you can understand these 5 propositions, it means that you understood Marx completely. Okay. So the continuous changes in forces of production and relations of production in response to the material condition, right? In response to the change in material condition, the forces of production, that is the tools, techniques, etc., which is required to produce will change. And when the forces change, the relations will also change, right? Now the forces changed of even the classes also, these techniques, etc., is there. So your relation from the existing teachers to me, at least few of you are attending my regular classes and we have developed a relation, right? I'm not talking about all of you. Most of you might be attending for the first time, but some of the students are following the classes and I know that I can see the comments also. I'm getting the messages also. So at least those students has now changed their relation from the other teacher to me, right? Why? Because of the changes in forces of production. I'm saying changes in force of production leads to change in relation of production also. Okay, so existing relation now changed, new relation is coming. I hope you understood what I mean to say, right? Then continuous struggle between 2 broad classes up till capitalism and abolition of this system in socialism and communism. So 2 broad classes are there up till capitalism. In feudalism, masters, in ancient mode of production, masters and slaves. In feudal mode of production, serfs and lords. In capitalism, workers and capitalist. Socialism, no class, so there is no struggle, right? That's what you have written here in table. You can read this. Continuous struggle between man and nature will finally end in communism. Continuous struggle to resolve the contradictions of the preceding stage. The process will end in communism because in communism there won't be any contradictions. Okay, there is no conflict. Okay, a continuous struggle between one's being and one's social being will end in communism. Now there is a very famous statement, man make their own history, but they do not make it just as they please. They do not make it under circumstances chosen by themselves, but under circumstances directly found, given and transmitted from the past. So I hope you understood. If you have any doubt related to sociology or GS or civil service preparation, feel free to contact me. This is my Instagram ID, Zia Safir. You can join the Telegram channel for all my videos. and that's my contact number 9790-892-697. Okay, so this is my Instagram ID, this is my Facebook ID, that's my Telegram channel. All videos are available over there. And if you wish to attend my regular classes, you can, online classes you are getting through StudyIQ anyway. If you wish to attend the live classes or personal mentorship or test series, you can write to me, you can message me. Okay, so see you guys. Thank you.